So, if we take the first two, and you know, these are only, at best, these are only organising categories. All right, but we are getting, you know, I was actually reflecting a bit on yesterday. I thought we had quite a good session yesterday, and I was reflecting a little bit on it. And then I had to meet with a publisher last evening, and this publisher, interestingly, has a particular interest in what you're doing because his children are going to go to one of your schools, I think. And he was saying, well, how is the project going? And I gave him my view on that. And then I began to sort of reflect a little bit of what we were doing and saying, you know, I think we're in a position now where we haven't been, you know, for our whole educational lives. We really know quite a bit about how to change schools now. And it's about, you know, how we consistently apply this knowledge. So if I turn to values, high expectations, we know a few things about this. But you may have some more to add to this list. But we know that the notion of visions and values and high expectations is about you know, absolutely about why you're there and what you want to achieve. It's normally sort of reflected in the fact that the school wants to do its utmost to help every young person reach their potential. But this moral purpose is not just a thing you do, but it's almost a duty. It's almost palpable inside the school, particularly in the early stages of sort of the journey. Trying to build a consensus in the school early on, so people who are like-minded, and I think that building that culture and in a very sort of explicit way. And then the story, I've talked about narrative and concreteness and about that already. Now, you know, we're looking for you not to just sort of repeat that, but what else are you doing to support that in your school? I'm sure you've all got sort of examples of that. And then this issue about sort of staffing, and you know, I think staffing is a real problem. You know. But the trouble is that you can't, you know, you can't just change the staff overnight. And you know, as I say, there may be the odd, you know, there may be the one or two individuals you may be able to sort of encourage to leave. But it's such a difficult process to achieve that you know, and just drains energy out of you and out of the school. When you do it, you should do it very, very purposefully. But don't try and get rid of an awful lot of people because it's just too difficult. So you know, it's about really creating the structure of expectations so that people will, if they don't feel comfortable in the school, will then most probably just sort of leave on their own volition. What's interesting is that these schools, highly effective schools, now tend to have very stable staffing because people just enjoy being there, but they haven't had in the past. And it's trying to create that culture of feeling, you know, of feeling accepted and warm in the school, as we saw in the video, but also a culture which is actually quite challenging in terms of, you know, professional accountability and you know, keeping up with professional norms. The sort of, and we'll talk more about this afternoon, but the key principle here is one of reciprocity. All right. That if I, as a principal, you know, demand a sort of, or want a unit of improvement out of Lena, who's a member of my staff, then I have a responsibility to give Lena a sort of a unit of resource to help her meet that improvement. Right? There's always got to be a sort of the pressure and support in anything we actually do, and to do it in a way, that reciprocity, in a way that sort of feeds a professional pride. One of the things I mentioned here, I don't know how possible it is in Victoria, but increasingly our better schools are trying to train their own teachers. So you're providing a flow of staff into the school. And you know, if there's an opportunity to develop innovative programs in that, I certainly would encourage you to do that. So anyway, just take 5 minutes or so just to discuss on the tables where you are at in these two areas, give concrete examples, and also begin to sort of give yourself a RAG rating as well.